Everybody is a leader to some degree. Whether or not it's a mother at home, a single mom raising kids, whether or not it's a father having to lay down the rules of the house to a rebellious 15-year-old. However leadership is, a first-time supervisor, a shift lead, a crew leader, a CEO, a manager, a director, there are many levels of leadership, but it's all the same principle. The reason I've been interested in this topic is because I've had bad bosses and I've had good bosses. And I've been an okay boss, and I'd like to think I've become a lot better boss. So through the years, I have compiled a list of leadership traits that I believe define a great leader. And again, we're not talking about earth-shattering concepts here. We're talking about owning yourself. The need for leadership is everywhere. Your ability to build relationships is at the crux of the matter. So people don't want a cruel leader. They don't want someone who controls. A lot of people have the idea of leadership as saying, I am the person who is just in charge of y'all. You have to do what I say. It's my way or the highway. But nobody wants to follow a leader just because they have a title. And we're going to talk a little bit about functional leadership versus title leadership. A person can have a title and be a sucky leader. Or a person can have a title and be a good leader. The leadership is in the one that everybody naturally follows. It is organized chaos until the real leader, the real alpha, shows up. Remember that. It is organized chaos in any group or setting until the alpha shows up and things sort of fall into place. It's true no matter what circuit you're in, no matter what social setting or group type. It's always true. So let's look at the core leadership work or elements. First, you have to answer to those above you. Every leader has leaders above them, right? You have to look out for those below you, and you have to live with yourself. So you have to answer to those above you, look out for those below you, and live with yourself. If you can't do those things, then you're not going to go very far at all. Because it's a three-pronged issue. You have to answer to those above you, but you also have to look out for those below you. And a good leader is looking out for those below them. They want to succeed because they realize as a leader that the ones who help them succeed are those under them. They can't do it without them. And then you have to live with yourself. You have to be able to go home at night and when the pressure's off and say, I did a good work today. You have to be able to sleep. You can't do something just because others tell you to or because you got pushed into something. You have to do it because it's you. So how do you do those core things? Well, you remember what employees want. What do they want? What does every employee want? Think about what you've wanted in every place you've gone. First of all, employees want to know, how am I doing? Will you help me do what I need to do when I need help? Am I appreciated where I am doing what I do? And can I be useful here and use my talents? So how am I doing? Will you help me do what I need to do when I need it? Am I appreciated here? And can I be useful and utilize my talents here? Let's start with the last one first. It is a fact that most employees who are behavior problems, they're behavior problems because they don't feel like it's a good fit for them. They see themselves as doing other work, doing other things, and they feel like they're wasting their time. That's a big problem. And we're going to visit how to manage that later. Then, am I appreciated? How often, if you're a leader, if you're a boss, if you're a mother or father, whatever leadership role you find yourself in, how often do you just express, look, hey, I thank you so much for coming in every day. I know others are having trouble getting here on time, but I can always count on you to be here. Thank you for what you do. How often do you say that? And how often, big pitfall of leaders here, how often do you come around and say, well, they already know that they should know that I appreciate them? I've run into a lot of people who didn't feel appreciated because they never felt recognized. You want to guard against that. Will you help me do what I need to do when I need to? When I need your help? You need to be approachable as a boss. You have to not be sure you're not letting off a vibe that says that you're not approachable. And then how am I doing? How good are you at giving assessments and evaluations and feedback? A lot of bosses hate that. Let me tell you, my favorite stuff to do is to give evaluations because I'm going to be straight. And I'm going to say, You can do more here. You can do more there. You can do less here. You're a 10 here. Maybe you're only a 3 here. And I'm not doing that to lord something over them. I'm doing that so that they'll have honest and legit feedback about how they can function. Honest and legit feedback about how they are able to thrive and do better. There's nothing worse than a bunch of people that just herd into work and they never really know how they're doing, and they don't ever think of themselves as having a way to go. You have to develop leaders. You have to show someone, if they want to be a future manager or a future supervisor, you have to be able to open the doors for them and show them what they need, what they're lacking to be able to do that. So those are the things employees want. Now, if you really want to take leadership to the next level, you need to know these things. Leadership is just leadership. You're just average unless you can embrace super leadership. What is super leadership? Super leadership is leadership on steroids. It is leadership at the next level. And it consists of these things. A, servant leadership. This was brought out by Hans Finzel in his book, The Top 10 Mistakes Leaders Make, which, by the way, is a very good book you should consider. And he talks about Jesus saying, "He who is greatest among you shall be your servant." Well, religious or irreligious, it's a great principle. I'm not religious, and I acknowledge the principle as well as the next person. Servant leadership says you serve so that you can lead. You show that you are willing to get in the trenches. Nobody likes the ivory tower boss. What is the ivory tower boss? The ivory tower boss is that boss who's always in the office. He's always coming in. He's always coming in late, leaving early. He's just making sure that everybody's been delegated to. Everything is fine. You need me? Okay, I'm going to go. Nobody likes that guy or gal because they're not in the trenches. You need to be in the trenches. 2 is confidential leadership. Years ago, I caught an employee, actually somebody else caught an employee doing something involving a Hustler magazine that he really shouldn't have been doing in our conference center. Well, this particular employee was, of course, terminated. But then the next day, 2 employees came to my office and they said, "Is it true what happened with so-and-so?" And I said to them, "So-and-so doesn't work here anymore." And they said, "Well, but is it true?" And I said, "So-and-so doesn't work here anymore." Despite the fact that this young man did something that was just inexcusable, I'm never going to share with another employee what's not their business. I'm not ever going to gossip about employees. I'm not ever going to take people's details and smear them or make them public spectacles. Confidential leadership shows that you really and truly have a vested interest in protecting someone. And believe you me, people see this. People will see this. If you are doing something by using other employees and trash-talking them when the other employees are around, those same employees know that you're doing that with them when they're not around. So you are losing points in a major way. And then number 3, honest leadership is super leadership. Honest leadership says, here is where you stand. Honest leadership doesn't pass the buck. It doesn't make false promises. And it doesn't lead on. Let me tell you, folks, I have ended interviews with people because they weren't a fit. I have been interviewing people. And then I stopped and shook their hand and said, "Listen, I appreciate you for coming in. You're a good candidate. Unfortunately, not for this position. I do wish you the best. But you'll find something better that is more of a fit for you." I've had people they at first were thrown by that because most bosses tell you, "Well, I'll call you. I'll call you." You know, that's an annoying game. Well, now you get closure because you know that if you're not a fit here, you don't have to be a fit, but you can't come and work for me if that's the case. But now you know, because I'll be honest enough to tell you. Don't make false promises. A lot of bosses fall into the routine of promising raises and then not getting to it. That makes you look incompetent as well as dishonest. And don't pass the buck. If it's time to write someone up for misbehavior, own the decision. Don't say, "Well, my bosses want me to write you up." Don't do something cowardly like that. Super leadership is empowering leadership. This is leadership that it builds others up. Good leaders want to make new leaders. They do not feel threatened. They do not feel the need to scheme. They do not feel the need to pull rank all the time. They like to show people where and how they can be better leaders. Super leadership is 3Ds leadership. This is the 3Ds of leadership: delegation, details, and deadlines. What does that mean? Folks, when you get an employee who is insubordinate, who is rebellious, who has too much energy, who doesn't seem to fit in because he or she just can't find the right niche. When they're trash talking the team, they're lowering the morale. What you need to do is pull them aside, and you need to do the first of the D's here. Delegate. Go and say, listen, Troy, you're now in charge of auditing the safety equipment. You're now in charge of accounts payable. I need you to do this, that, and the other. You start giving them more work to do. I guarantee you, it's just like a kid with too much energy. You put him or her in karate class, and they're going to start finding more of a way to direct or channel that energy. Delegation is a powerful tool because you don't want to ever be like the boss, man or woman, who feels like they're losing control if they don't do it all. You never, ever, ever want to do that. Don't ever be the type of boss who feels like they have to do it all because they're losing control. Don't do that. Then details. Delegation is the first, details is the second. Details means you're following up. You don't want to let an employee fail. So when you delegate something, you need to get involved in the details and say, here's how I want it done. Here's how this needs to be done. And then follow up. Go out of your way to follow up to make sure they're not doing it wrong, because then if you let them finish and you haven't been guiding the process, you've let them fail. And then finally, deadlines. You say, by the end of the month, I want this done. When people have deadlines, they work better. Yes, I know that's a source of stress for some people, but it's much better because the stronger the deadline is, the closer it is, the better job you will do. That's what the studies tell us. If I say you have 3 months to do a report, you're going to do probably a cruddy report. If I say you have 3 days, you're going to go, what? Come on now. But you're going to do a very good report because you know you have to do it. You're going to make it a priority. People prioritize around deadlines. Good accounting involves that. Good accountability and setting accountability involves that. And finally, super leadership is yes and leadership, not yes but. Let me give you an example. Ronald Reagan was a yes and leader. Nixon was yes but. Do you see the difference? If you really want to lead, be the person who doesn't say yes but, or doesn't have that disqualifying factor at the end. Every employee, to make an application here, really hates being told, yes, you did well, but. They can always see that coming. They can see it 10,000 miles away. Instead of knocking them down, let's say someone didn't clean the restrooms in time or didn't get done with their filing in time. You don't say, yes, you did well, but. You say, yes, as good as you do here, next time you'd even be able to get to all of that, I don't doubt. Going all the way back to the time of Socrates and before, actually. If a person knows that you know what you're talking about and realizes that you have their best interest at heart, that qualifies you to tell them anything.